Hey, everybody, welcome to the Long Island Sound podcast. I'm really excited to welcome back one of my early guests. He's a great blues artist, well known all around the area. It's such a fantastic background. Welcome back to the podcast, Kerry Kearney. Good to see you, Kerry.
Thank you very much. Good to see you too.
Great to see you. Great to hear your music too. And we're going to talk about your album that's going to be released and some of the up and coming things. But I want to get into, since you were on the show, you celebrated your 25th anniversary. Now I think your 26th anniversary with your band.
It'll probably it's going to be, in ski, it'll be 30 years.
Oh my God. Time
30 years.
So,
that's how long that was. Yeah. 30 years. Yeah.
So I got to ask you, since the pandemic is over, how have things been for you during this period musically, especially in the performances that you're doing now? What's changed, if anything?
The only thing that's been changing is that the diners are closing earlier. That was a big thing for us after the gig. That was our fourth set, we used to call that. We used to go out and eat all the time. But, I find a lot of places have changed. A lot of the attendance is a little bit different. I noticed that too. I think it's the economy too that's making attendance a little bit weird. You can never figure it out. Some nights when it's raining, it might be a good audience, like a good amount of people. And some nights when it's raining, it might be nobody, depending on what it is. And it's like, you can't really ever, I talk to a lot of, I got a really bad allergy, by the way. I talk to a lot of club owners about that sometimes, like how things are going with them and this and that. And they, after all these years, they've been in, 50 years in existence, they still can't figure it out, like how to make things happen like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
agree. That's always the main concern of a lot of bands, is that your audience is still there. Because that pretty much, that's who you play for, and that's what the whole idea is. So, but we've been very, very blessed with our stuff. It's funny, I've calmed down on a lot of local stuff. I've been doing a lot of, I can't say bigger shows, but more like theater shows or something like that, where it's more like a show per se, say a bar gig or something like that, or a place that's just kind of just like people, coming to see like that kind of music, which I think is great. But I find that it's more as an artist to perform, it's better when people come and they congregate on kind of sitting there and, watching and, drinking in what you're doing, more than like the surroundings of what's happening pretty much.
Yeah, so. I agree. I think when you do the theater gigs, you get an audience that are really audiophiles, that really appreciate music, that are kind of, no pun intended, tuned into what you're doing and can appreciate your art, as opposed to a bar or even a concert. I think, you get that kind of feedback from the audience. When have they told you the difference in your show when it's a theater as opposed to when you've done something else?
Yeah, I've done a few acoustic things, which is interesting. Recently, I did out in Mauritius. They have in the meeting house. There's a meeting house or a Mauritius place out there. Good friend of mine, Gail Field, she does a folky fest. And
sure, I've met her.
Yeah, and she does a lot of stuff. And I find her audience is great because they all come, they all want to listen to the music, and they all kind of hang. And I'll even do like a Q&A thing, which is kind of fun. Because like everybody's just sitting there looking and I guess kind of hanging. It's like a real, almost a library mentality with that whole thing like that. I find that when I'm playing like a theater, like I was saying, like your question, is that I can play things that I don't normally play, a little more subtle. Some that might be a little more like not so, crazy with like, say, like, electric sound or volume or something like that. And people will listen a little more delicately. So I find that's pretty cool. And listen to the words and really find out like what's going on within the music itself, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I just interviewed this guy, Bob Williams, and I just kind of cued into these home shows, like house shows. There's one concert by the Creek that his brother does. And, he talked about doing stuff in North Carolina and Fort Myers. And even, which was a new concept for me, was nonprofit music venues who are really tuned into the music, which is really kind of cool. Hey, I want to switch gears a bit, and I want to go a little bit deeper. In our first interview, you shared a fascinating story about Russia and Marty Balin in 1909, and Russia's in the news often. And I'm really curious about that audience and your experience back in 1989. If you can delve into that, be cool.
Yeah, well, what I can remember of it is that it was actually a kind of a trade type thing with the movie industry, actually. And what it was they were going to make a movie about kind of like a Grizzly Adams type guy. It was called Misha Adams. Okay. And the star of the movie, it's really interesting. I mean, I can go on through this for like 3 weeks. I was there for like 2 weeks. I can go on for 3 weeks and tell you what happened.
Wow. Okay.
The star of the movie was going to be Red West. And if you know what Red West is, all you, anybody out there is an Elvis file, is that he was Elvis Presley's bodyguard. He was
Okay.
he was
Gotcha.
one of the Memphis Mafia. So he was going to be the star of the movie. He was an actor. He was in Roadhouse, that
Oh,
one
yeah.
with that one from Texas, whatever Roadhouse movie. He was in get
With
his name
Patrick
now.
Swayze.
Patrick Swayze movie. He was in that,
Right.
and he was in a couple of Elvis movies. Elvis knew him in grammar school, no, in high school. And one
Wow.
time somebody's picking on Elvis, and Red came over and told the guy basically like, "Listen, you're not going to mess around with him. Leave him alone."
My
So
bodyguard.
Elvis
Yeah.
remembered that. So when Elvis became famous, he called Red and said, "Listen, do you have a job? I got a great job for you. If you want to come and be my get a couple of guys together and be my bodyguard, actually." So he was there. And what was really amazing about that was that, I mean, I'll get to the people in a second, but it was, I was getting on to the we were all in the same hotel for this big show we were doing. And it was in the Rossiya Hotel in Moscow. And big,
Okay.
like beautiful, like kind of like, what would you say, Lincoln Center type place. Anyway,
Yeah.
of
Kind of like a
their
Dr. Zhivago type of.
oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I saw the whole countryside. We went from
Oh,
Moscow
beautiful.
up to Leningrad on a train. And I saw all those unbelievable places, actually. It was amazing back then. And it was still pretty much communist. It just fell, I think, that year. The whole thing with the wall and everything else, I think, was like around that time.
Wow.
So it was still pretty much in that dark area. But the people were just, both of the people anyway, they were just amazed. Like they were like really, I mean, everywhere you went, it was a big to do. You know, I mean, if I went out of the hotel and I walked around, I mean, I had my hair was all perm then and stuff. And I had a denim jacket and stuff. I had green Converse sneakers. I mean, it wasn't what they were wearing, put it that way. And they were all like, wanted to like, know about stuff. They wanted to know about Texas. They wanted to know about cowboys. They wanted to know about Chicago, about all the gangsters and stuff like that. Like this is stuff they see, I guess, on television or what they get
Yeah.
about America. They like all that stuff. So that was pretty much like that. But they were really hungry for American music. You know what I mean? That was the whole thing. It was like, for
Wow.
them, it was the real deal. With us, with Russia, it's like, in the music industry, it was like a lot of a ballet, orchestra, that kind of stuff
Right.
with their classical, stuff, obviously. Even some of their, it's amazing. Even some of their folk music is amazing. It's got like this real like gypsy kind of feel to it. And I know people like Django Reinhardt, for real guitar aficionado like I am, back in the day, coming from that Eastern Europe background that he had and fusing
the
in
violins,
jazz.
right?
It's
The
amazing how that
fiddles.
stuff was. But they had a lot of stuff there. It was called Sagani. They called it Sagani music. And it's like gypsy stuff. And I saw a couple of those bands playing, actually. That was amazing, actually. And they were digging what I was doing. And I was like, well, I think you guys are really, unbelievable. So, but it was something. I don't know what it's like. Well, obviously today we hear a lot of stuff that's going on over there with the war and
Right.
stuff like that, with Ukraine, which is all, it's a terrible, terrible thing. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was hoping that sometime I would either get back there or something. It would never be the same as it was when I was there, but still it was
Right.
like, but people were very, and they wanted to know, they knew they couldn't really speak English too well, but they all knew Beatles songs. So when we got together to
Right.
do a little jam, we'd sing Beatles songs. They'd all know all the words. They know everything about the Beatles stuff, which is amazing.
It's
So,
amazing.
so it's
You know,
great. And, you know something, in all cultures, I think, in all places, people are people that it's just, everybody has the same, want in life and the same loves
Right.
in life. It's family. It's everything. The love of food, the love of whatever. And that's what it's just your everyday wake up and you live. And that's what their thing is. It's not about, about politics. It's not about that stuff. They really want nothing to do with that stuff, really, in a lot of ways. They just want to be
Yeah.
free like us.
That's where I think that, music can really cut through the cultural divide and can be a common denominator because it gives us a way to celebrate and communicate, even though we don't speak the same
Oh, absolutely.
language. Hey, I want to ask
Absolutely.
you another question. You toured with Marty Ballin. You got your big break. By the way, I want to tell the audience, hey, please comment below, share this with people that I'm really interested. I answer all the comments, by the way. But you really got your big break with Marty Ballin. And my question is, working the side stages in a festival, a concert, and then you had the opportunity to play alongside the Allman Brothers and with Dickie Betts. And what was it like to graduate from the side stage, so to speak, to play with the guys you idolized? What was that like? Was it super intimidating? I mean, how'd you deal with it?
I think playing with Marty had opened the door for me about the way I thought about things and how I was. Before I went to California to play with him, I mean, I've been to Florida once. I mean, I never really went anywhere. I had stopped drinking actually when I was 17. We talked about that last time. I'm 64 now, and I haven't got high or anything on anything, pretty much. And in that sense, I really didn't. I didn't go to Barbados. I didn't go to blah blah blah. I never even went to the Hamptons back then. I live in a beach community right here, so I had no. So when I was 17, when I was in my 20s or early 20s, when everybody was doing that kind of stuff and traveling and going blah blah blah, like I wasn't really in that whole party atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? So I never really got to go anywhere. So being with Marty and going where I was with him and then meeting the people out there, I just kind of just humbled myself so that, I was playing in this world that I did dream about all the time, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden I can't say thrust into it, but I was around the people. So I had to just be kind of like, not be so in awe of things and be like, I'm part of this. And that helped a lot. So when I got to do the Allman Brothers show, which was like, it was thrilling, I mean, that stuff with Dickie Betts and stuff too, is that it was like on a step, on a stairway to the next step of whatever I was going to and this and that. So I kind of like used them as like not used them, but I kind of like had the idea using my own thoughts of that. It was just like a natural thing. You're a musician. This is where you are. And this is what this is what you're doing. So I put aside my adoration of those people and put it into like, I'm in their world. So, and in that sense, it makes it a lot easier when you're doing things. Because they wouldn't want anybody to go gaga over them all the time. I mean, I can sit there in a room with them and say, "Oh my God, it's you," which is I'm feeling inside.
Right.
It's the thing that and then having them, respect you, which was great. I remember Marty, when I was playing with Marty, he was like, Kerry, I'd like you to be like the arranger of stuff. Could you arrange? And I was like, absolutely. All of a sudden I became an arranger, I mean, this and that. And, so it's like, I stepped into this thing where, he respected me enough and had enough, confidence in me to do that kind of stuff. So, but it's really something. That's why a lot of people, like when they get a chance to open with someone, Long Island, say like a band that, is up and coming or something like that, they get a chance to open with somebody big. It really is a thrill. And, sometimes it's not really good to meet your heroes. I was playing one time in outside San Francisco in a place called Mill Valley. That was a place called the Sweetwater. Okay. And it's still there. They redid it. It's a big thing with Phil Lesh, and he had it at the time as the big thing with the Dead people. And I used to play there with Marty. It was a little club out there. Really, really great place.
Right.
That place was an amazing place where everybody would come in the area. So Jerry Garcia would walk in, and so would walk in. Anybody that lived there would hang out in this place, you know what I mean, while you're playing. So one day I was there, and somebody goes, "Hey, Van the Man's here." And we're doing a sound check, and Van Morrison was at the bar, sitting there.
Oh, come on.
Shit, he wasn't. So I didn't realize this, but his parents that he flew over in the early 70s owned a music store, a record store in that area, in the Mill Valley area. And so he came back to like talk to the guy who owned the store now, this guy, John's Records. It's this beautiful, crazy, I think it's still there too, actually. This is going back 35 years ago. But he came to say hello to him, but I didn't know it at the time, but he was being accosted by all these people seeing that Van Morrison, Van's here. So he got a little weird about it. He wanted to just kind of hang out and not see it. So when he came to the bar where I was playing, I'm looking, and there he was, about 15 feet away. I was like, holy shit, it's Van. So I walk over, I'm like, Van. And so he kind of brushed me off, like being pleased, but not realizing that he just had this big thing going on and da-da-da-da. But I mean, that didn't make me stop listening to him, obviously, if he wasn't that nice to me. I mean, some people are very, very extremely nice, but he had that thing where, he has this kind of moniker as being a little edgy at times like that, you know what I'm saying? But,
right.
But otherwise, but like I'm saying, like when you meet these people, you meet a lot of these people that you admired all your life. It's an amazing thing. And you put them in this thing but they have a big part of you, like you thought of them. When I played guitar when I was young, I mean, there was Johnny Winter, there was Eric Clapton, there was blah, 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 there was Dickie Betts, there was everybody. You know what I mean? It's like they're in this world that I'm in. I'm in this thing that I'm playing, I'm visualizing, I'm like, wow. It's a whole wow. I know that, that's how I want to meet him.
You know what I find interesting, Kerry, is you're able to take them off the pedestal, which I would like see them on a pedestal, but now you're seeing them eye to eye, and they're one of your compadres, and you work on that level, which we're all just regular people. Hey, let's do this, Kerry. Let's just take a quick break. I really want to talk about the new album that you have out and what you're doing at the Great South Bay Music Festival, and got lots to talk about. Hey, everybody, hang with us. We'll be back with Kerry Kearney. Stick with us.
The Long Island Sound is here to help you connect with local artists. Follow us on Instagram for the latest up-to-date podcast episodes and also to connect with your local artists and their upcoming shows.
Hey, everybody. We are back with Kerry Kearney. Kerry is one of my first early guests. Kerry, I can't thank you enough. You've led me, just from being on the show, you've led me to so many great people. And before we get into your album, I had a lady on this, a violin player, on the podcast, and I was looking at some of your videos, and sure enough, she's on stage with you. Heather Hardy.
Heather.
From
Heather. Oh, she's the best.
Arizona.
I love Heather. Yeah.
So
she comes back in the summertime.
It's a small world. She's actually coming out to New York, I think, in it.
Yes.
And I think that was at the Great South Bay Music Festival, if I recall.
Yeah, she plays every year with us pretty much. And that's this year is going to be a lot of fun too. I'm psyched. It's going to be a really, really great time with the new album and stuff too. I got some Louisiana stuff going on. I have a trombone player coming because we're on the jam band day. So we're going to be doing some kind of like a little more of a dancey type of thing going on, which is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Gotcha. So tell me, you got the new album. Show it to me.
Yeah. I got the poster right here. I got to pop it up. It's right here. So let me make sure not too much stuff. There you go, right there.
Nice.
La, 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 la.
And it's self-titled, The Kerry Kearney Band?
Yes. Yeah. It's funny, this old house, people think it's like in Mississippi or something like that. It's down like near Stony Brook. It's down on the beach of Stony Brook area. Yeah. A friend of mine, really great photographer, Delia Fasano, she took me there. She said, I got a great place here. I said, I need something kind of rustic looking. And she goes, oh, this would be perfect. So that's what that was, yeah.
Perfect. There's nothing like a great photographer to catch the mood that you're looking for.
Oh, sure.
And tell me, how long was this album in the germination of your mind to put songs together? And you did it on Paradiddle Records, my good friend Bill Herman.
Yes.
So tell me how everything came together. And then I want to talk about the muse as well, because we have singer-songwriters who listen in and they're always looking for, man, how do you do that? So tell me how it came about.
It was about 4 years ago. We had done a CD, more than that actually, probably about almost 6 years ago now probably. And what happened was we needed some new stuff. I wanted to get a new thing going. I had some new ideas and stuff. So we put it together, and then like a little couple of things went kind of haywire through that recording situation. Some financial things and this and that to get it working in the big studio. So I ended up just putting it on the back burner for a while. But we had all this really great, I feel really, really great tracks that was sitting there doing nothing. So as time went along, I saved a little bit, went back to the studio a little bit, did it again, tried a little bit. And it took me almost 4 years to do that. Because it just like, months and months would go by, and I just forget about it. We'd be playing or doing something, I'd be like, and then all of a sudden it'd come back in my head again. I got another song in my head. I'm like, I got to get to the studio again. So we did it like that. So Bill Herman had called me a few years ago, and he wanted me to be on he does a lot of compilation albums, beautiful, really great stuff.
Right.
You got to go on paradiddle.com. It's unbelievable. And it was a Bob Dylan compilation CD. And he asked me to come and play a tune. It was a blues tune that Dylan kind of did called Meet Me in the Morning. So we went and recorded it. And as I did it, I said, I have all these tracks. They're pretty much almost done. I'd love to do something with him. He goes, well, why don't we do something with him? Let's do it. I'll do it with you. So we made a deal. And that's how I got to be with Paradiddle. I mean, it was really that simple. Nice. I did another tune from too. It was a Warren Zevon. But that's coming out very, very soon. And it's a Warren Zevon song. Yeah, so we did a couple of compilations with Bill and over in Paradiddle. He's the engineer owner over there. And we got it together. One song was called Meet Me in the Morning by Bob Dylan for his Bob Dylan compilation, which is great. And another one called Rubby Raw. It was on Warren Zevon's last album.
Right.
Well, passed away. And we did that one also, a lot of slide on it, really kind of interesting. So we have those two songs we did with him also on our CD that's on Paradiddle, which is a lot of fun. So it's really a lot of fun doing that. And there are 3 songs on the album that are kind of like cop redos. There's another one called All Your Love, which is our first single. And that's by Otis Rush from the 50s. And also John Mayall and the Blues Breakers did a version of it that I know before I heard the Otis Rush version, obviously. And so we have that. And that's actually out there. It's our single. It's actually doing pretty well. I'll get a lot of airplays coming in. It's coming along slowly. We're kind of putting it out slowly until it's ready. The actual date of the whole thing being out there and being released is going to be the 20th of June. And the day before, on the 19th, on a Thursday at 6 p.m., we're going to be at Looney Tunes over in West Babylon. We're going to do a live broadcast, actually a live show there, and bring the CD to par. That'd be great, you know. So.
That's fantastic. Yeah, Looney Tunes is right in West Babylon, a stone's throw from where I live, and I'll be there for sure.
Cool. Yeah, it'd be great.
You know, it's funny. There's two places, Looney Tunes and the record shop in Patchogue, and the record shop also has been doing in-store performances, which I think is great. You know, it really brings it together.
Gotta look into that one. Hey, there's a great store on Sunrise Highway. I'm not exactly sure where it was, but one time I was looking for an album. My brother, for Christmas, he talked about an old Rascals album, but a Rascals.
Okay.
And I called around a couple places, and I called there, and they had one. And I went in there. It was a beautiful, big store, and very knowledgeable help. Like they knew what was going on and stuff. And I got to find out what that place was because I got to get back there. It's really, really dynamite. You know what I mean?
Well, tell you what, I'll do the research and I'll put it in the description as well.
Cool.
And I keep reminding people, look in the description. You'll see the links to Kerry's music, his upcoming shows, and where to get his album on the 20th for sure. Hey, you mentioned that you bring in, I think, a sax or a trombone player in. You've talked about in the past, always want to incorporate Cajun and Tex-Mex music. What kind of draws you to those genres?
You know, the Cajun thing, it's kind of like an inherent feeling about it, kind of like blues was with me when I first heard it as a youngster. I mean, I listened, I told the story a million times. My brother, I was playing Layla. I was very young, maybe about 12 or something like that. I was trying to figure out riffs on the album. And he walked in and I was playing Have You Ever Loved a Woman? And I was trying to get the riffs down from Clapton. And he said, hold on a second. He came and he took the record off and he put on B.B. King Live at the Regal. And it was from 64, B.B. King, you know, at the Regal Theater in Chicago. And I listened to it. I'm like, wow, it sounds like Eric. He goes, no, Eric sounds like him. He goes, this is where it comes from. This is the real thing. I was like, holy smoke. So that was a very strange world at first. Because it was like, to me, that was like an older generation of people. And here I am, like, you know, I was obviously younger than Eric Clapton, those people, but that was like my go-to thing, the rock and roll world in that sense of blues, you know, rock and roll music. So I'm listening to something that's been the 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s. I'm like, wow, this is really, really strange at first. But then I realized, like, by listening to this music, I could get the education that Eric Clapton got, that Johnny Winter got. That Mike Bloomfield got. I mean, I wanted to, and so instead of me being a facsimile of them, I'd rather be a facsimile of the real thing. And they'll even say, I mean, Clapton many times in interviews have said that he just he'll never be that. He'll never get there, although he wants to. But we all obviously, you know, look at him that way, his way of playing, but he feels like he's not really up to par of that thing. And that's what I'm always pushing the envelope towards that. It's more of a mood. I remember a friend of mine was saying, you know, I wanted to get into like, you know, Muddy Waters and blah, blah, blah. But I keep going back to like Hendrix and da-da-da-da because it's the speed of it too. It's like the ferociousness of the guitar playing and blah, blah, blah. Like Freddie King has that. He has that actual progressive ferociousness that maybe other guys don't have. But that's not the point that they don't have something. They have this mood and this emotion, that's what I'm trying to capture when I do blues music, is the feeling of it, of what it is. I'm so close to it that I can't tell, even if I'm even portraying that. Some people think I am, but I'm like, because it's in me, I don't, you know, I'm always playing it, so I don't know if it's there. But when I do hear like a Lightning Hopkins or somebody, when you first hear it comes on, even when you're in the car, it comes on like one of those stations, a college station, you turn it on and some kind of blues things comes on, you're like, ooh, you got to just feel it coming. You know what I mean? It's really the whole way it's popping through the airwaves. It's amazing. You know what I mean? So that's why, I mean, in that sense, I love the idea of, you know, always discovering. It's hard for me to discover new. I know pretty much all the blues stuff in a certain sense. A lot of the progressive stuff I don't know, like we're in a progressive field of what I do, pretty much what we do. But I mean, there's so much of it. It's so flooded. Like everybody in the whatever wants to be a blues player. You know what I mean? They want to put things out. and that's a big thing out there. So it's hard whenever you do whenever we put something out or somebody talks about what we do, it's like the only thing they can really do is to see it, because everybody is touting they have the new Stevie Ray Vaughan or the new blah blah blah. It's everywhere. It's constantly it's barraging you. You know what I mean? But you have to have somewhere. You have to be able to show them and have them see what you do if you're gonna get that thing going. That's why I tell people a lot. Sorry, I really got a really bad allergy. Also, I have my winter beard, which is going to come off pretty soon. I'm going to keep myself, it's still, one day is 75, one day is still 50. So
right.
I got to keep going. But
it's funny. I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You, one of your audience members coined, and I've been thinking about this, especially as you've been talking about going to the roots and not hearing a copy of a copy per se, but you have coined the term Psychedelta, which to me, Delta means change. Psyche is the mind. You're kind of looking at the blues as a change of mind in getting back to the roots and learning from that, and then throwing your interpretation on top of that. Am I right?
Yeah, yes and no. Actually, now that you just said that, now I will think
that
way. Which is great. You put him, it's actually, you explained it to me, because the word Psychedelta, I love, because I was jamming with a Grateful Dead band from Long Island, the Electrics, really, really good friends of mine. Jimmy Fleming, you know Jimmy.
Oh yeah, sure, so, Jimmy Fleming.
Great fiddle player, great guitar, great man, everything. I've known him since I was a little kid, actually. He was a little older than me. I used to watch him play all the time. It's fantastic. And but anyway, so what it was I jammed my dobro one time with him, a place in Brooklyn. I got on stage, played, and when I got off, this guy that was standing by the stage says, "Wow, that was Psychedelta," meaning like it was psychedelic with the Grateful Dead type band, and it was like you were playing the Delta music. You know what I mean? So, but what you said is a very interesting, take on that. I never thought of that, actually, and that pretty much is it too. You know what I mean? I'm trying to put together, when I'm playing that, I call that, and it's all the Delta music all fused. It's all Louisiana, like we were saying before about Louisiana stuff, Texas and Mississippi and Piedmont area, like in Georgia and stuff like that, all those kind of things like that, and Tennessee, Memphis. It's all that thing, and then we jam a little bit to it. So there's a lot of things on the new album. You want to get to the new album, you said, so I'll say something about it really quick. There's a song called
please.
Barbecue Romp, it's called. Now, we did this live in the studio, and pretty much a couple little overdubs here and there just to make it right for the recording. But it was just an instrumental song that I didn't even know we even had. The first studio I was recording in, we transferred it over to Paradiddle with Bill. And what happened was, we're playing it back, and Bill's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "I don't even know what it is." And it was a song that we ended up using that's been getting like a lot of airplay too. Like a lot of people on the album have been picking that song, instrumental song. But that's a perfect example of Psychedelta. It's Allman Brothery, jammy, da-da-da-da, and it has harmonica, which has the Delta feel, great piano, stride piano. I'm doing guitar and just jamming to it. But it really has that fusion of all of that stuff together. And that's a perfect example of the stuff that we're trying to do. Is that one
what's
song.
interesting about that is the importance, and I've talked to a lot of different artists, whether you're laying down tracks separately, but the importance of playing live as a band to bring out those magical moments that aren't planned, right?
Well, that was my whole thing of this project from the beginning, is that there was no real trickery. There's no a lot of, even my amp, I plugged into the amp. I had a preamp going in that was just a volume push, and it was there's no alteration of what the sound is. It's just what we're doing. And I tried making it. I remember Jeff Beck, that was a big sound of his in the 70s, which I loved. All he did was had a little booster pedal through his amp, and that was his sound, you know what I mean? And Clapton was straight into the amp, but cranked, so I wanted to go back to those roots of that, which was really, and Bill captured it really amazingly. It was very much straight ahead.
Hey, so tell me, your band has been together almost 3 decades now, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me about the people in the band and How did you guys stay together for so long? And what is so special about each individual player in your band?
Well, it's changed a lot. I
Okay.
mean, I've been with Mario maybe half that time, maybe 15 years, and Jerry a little less than that. Not a lot less, but maybe 12, 13 years. Jack LaCitra, who was in and out of the band a lot, he's the Neil Young of the band. You know, like
Okay.
goes with the you know, he's sometimes it's CSN, sometimes it's CSNY. With Jack, I mean, I've been with Jack for all those years. You know, we played, and I feel that once you find "Never Let It Go," that song, you know, once you have found a never let it go, you know, one of some enchanted evening, it's the same thing. It's you know, there's a certain, and then when you do play with other people who are revered as being like really great in their own field, and everybody knows they're great, it might not work with you, even though they're great
Okay.
in their own thing. You know, it might not be the same kind of feel. I'm looking for a feel all the time, and it started with Frank Salenza. I mean, rest his soul. I mean, he was a really we were very very close for a long time. He's my first bassist, and he passed away a few years ago. And he had that thing where he was a person a little older than me, but wasn't influenced by rock and roll music. He was influenced by R&B, which I never met anybody like that
Okay.
before. That was just that, and playing in these bands. But he had that thing, the flat wound strings on the bass, this big sound. And when I used to play with other people, I'd always tell them, listen, turn your bass up. Turn the bottom up. I got to feel it. Because I would feel him. He'd almost like, you know, reverberate the
Right.
stage. He played. And that got people moving. I mean, that and a great drummer. I had Eileen Murphy for a long time. Little Irish girl, like 5'2", used to play with Little Buster.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
I saw her playing with Little Buster. I was like, look at this girl play. So we started talking. She goes, oh, you're the slide guy. So we started like talking about stuff. I was like, yeah. So I got a number, and we began playing, and she popped in and she never left. It was great. She did all the tours with us and everything. It was really great. And today we still play together. It's really a lot of fun. And but I mean, feeling these people that really, and they take such pride in what they do. I mean, there are so many people out there on Long Island, especially. I mean, you have guys like Jim Moran, all these great
Yep.
jam
No.
people. They take it so seriously what they do, and you can tell by the way they play. I mean, these guys are great players. You know what I mean? And
Right. Right.
they really, but you see people that really, you know, they're not just weekend people. Even if they do have a daytime job, it's still, you know, 2% of that is their 9 to 5, and 98% of it is them wanting to do this. And this is where their mind is, their head is at. You know what I mean? I know a lot of cops and firemen too that you know, the guitar players, that isn't their thing. They became, I was going to be a policeman actually when I was young. I ended up going to California. But my whole community is all policemen and firemen, and which I love. I mean, they're the greatest friends of mine. And but it's like they come back full circle now. They're retired. They come back and they want to do something that they wanted to do when they were younger. You know, and
Oh,
I
that's
teach
great.
a lot of people. So it's great. Yeah, but
Well,
those
you know,
people, like you
you
said, with my band members, they all had that thing, and they kind of stuck with they stuck with my vision. I think is what it was. Our vision is all the same. I never tell them what to play. When we do something, I'll say it goes like this, and I'll play a couple of chords, and all of a sudden Jerry comes in on the bass, and Mario gives a beat, and that's it. I ain't got to say no. I'll tell you what. Why don't you do this? I don't have to do that. There's no reason for it.
nice.
They're right on the ball. You know.
So if I could recap, it sounds like passion first, obviously woodshedding your craft, and then instincts that you see over time that says this is working is what really pulls your band together.
Yeah, I mean, when you say passion, it's really funny. When I was around 20, a friend of mine's father was was an orchestra leader. I had a little tuxedo and the whole thing, and I used to go out, and I was in college for a little while. I kind of left there. I left, blah, blah, blah. So I was kind of like just kind of bumming around a little bit. But I had this job of playing with an orchestra. And they paid very
Okay.
well, and I played a few times a week, so it was great. And being 20 years old and kind of in between, you know, curriculums in life, it's kind of like you're not really, you know, you're having fun. And, you know, so in my funness doing that, I remember playing it, and I remember going out with like he'd send me with a trio, his father, and I would have like an
Okay.
accordion player and a drummer. And these guys were as old as my father. They were from World War II. I mean, and I was a young kid.
Okay.
And to me, like their rock and roll was, you know, rock around the clock. Can you do this? Can you do that? So I did that stuff for them. That was the rock and roll that they did. And I learned stuff from them. from their era, playing their popular music, and I learned all the stuff. But I remember one time playing a wedding once. I remember playing and noticing that I'm playing music. I think it's good. Nobody's really listening at all. Like it's just the same old thing. It's the same old stuff you're playing. It's
All
a
right.
cookie cutter thing. But these two guys that were in the back, cooking, whatever, the chefs, they were like standing by the door, like watching me play. And they came up and they said, "Wow, man, that's really great." And that meant to me more than I was making good money that night, more than all the money they could pay me that night. If I went there and played for free, and those guys said that, I would go home content. So it is the passion. That's what it is. It's like, it's that when I got into playing music as a kid, did I think I was going to be making a living at it someday, or I was whatever? Not at all. I was just having fun. And I still have that same fun. I still feel that. I get together with some old friends, sit around the couch or on the beach, whatever, or somewhere outside, we jam. I mean, I still feel that. And that's the first thing you need. Without that love, like I was saying before about some musicians a while, they have that love, and you can tell when they're playing. They have that thing going, and that's the first thing. If you don't have that, you're in it just for money. It's just, you can tell. It's just like,
Right.
these guys in the corner playing, Jimmy Buffett music in a bar somewhere. They're just going through the motions and da-da-da-da. And if they go home and content, that's fine. That's their own thing.
That's their thing.
I feel like I couldn't do that. I would do that, but I wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Hey, as a performer, you've toured extensively around the world, right? What is it about Long Island's music scene that is unique and that keeps you rooted here?
It is. I found San Francisco also had it was very, very similar, Marin County, because you have the city, which is San Francisco, and then Marin across the bridge. In that whole area there, you have like Larkspur, and you have Fairfax, San Anselmo, San Rafael. These places are all little towns. Like here we have Syosset and Huntington, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. And every place had a good club, a good thing, musicians all over the place. And they were all into the whole camaraderie of the realm of it. Long Island has that same feel, I find. And it has that camaraderie of that. There are so many musicians, and I go on Facebook, I see another band with a big promo for somewhere. I'm like, who are these guys? Like out of the blue, you know what I mean? I do know that 90% of it is copy music or it's tribute stuff, which I think is great. I don't want to, a lot of people bash it.
Right.
I know that I'm in an original type thing. I do play copy music also when I'm playing stuff. It's not like I'm not playing it. But it's
Right.
like, it is great that people do that. I wish that more originality in the sense of, being able to play places was out there. And that's where Gail Field, like I said about her, comes at the par. She has a lot of original folk people playing. I remember one day, really quick, a good friend of mine from a band, I'm not going to mention what it was, but he was playing in Patchogue at this place, right? And he was doing an acoustic thing, like in the window there. I was walking by, and I saw him, and I was like, "Oh, small."
Right.
Come and say. So I went and saw him, and the people were louder than he was. I mean, it was like he's a folk guy, and it was like nobody cared, nobody saw what was going on. In his world, he needs to get that out. He needs somebody to come up and say, "I get your feeling, I get your sorrow, whatever, happiness." It's like you have to kind of hone in on him, or hone in on her, or whoever's doing this kind of music. So it was like not the right place for it. And I felt like the people just didn't want it. But I'm saying to myself, you got to find somewhere that has that. And people will sit down and will listen to you. So you can do your craft. It's like, you painted a beautiful picture. You want people to see it. It's not going to, you don't want it to hang in some place where nobody cares, you know what I mean? But the thing is that everybody's I can't say brainwashed. It's not a good word. Like, you in your youth, you heard, Golden Earring. You heard, Radar Love one summer, or you heard, so-and-so, so-and-so, so. It goes on and on and on. And then when you go see these things, it brings you back. You want to be brought back. This new thing, too, with this yacht rock thing. You're being brought back to this new, well, it's not even new. It's old music that's being repackaged into this thing called yacht rock. I mean, but people love it. People get into the scene of it. They hear a song they love. They remember it. And there's so many songs in my life I remember like that. I remember as a kid, it was the soundtracks of your life. They're playing the soundtrack of your life. And that's what you want to say.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned that. It brings, hey, we all like to reminisce. And as I get older, one of the reasons for the podcast is I love to reminisce. I'm a Neil Young guy. I'm a Laurel Canyon guy.
Well,
but then you can kind of get stuck in that bubble. And I'm always into music discovery. And what blew my mind about getting out and seeing people like you in the music scene who I'd never heard of before I started the podcast, no offense, and go, holy shit, there's a lot of talent here.
It's okay, Don.
and it goes deep and different genres. And that's my love for Long Island. And it's so nice that it's mirrored or vice versa on the West Coast and in these little pockets around the country. So it's good to get your perspective on that.
You know, that's where things come from. It's funny you say little pockets. You had Athens, Georgia for a while. You had people like, B-52s and I think the Indigo Girls and blah, blah. Like there are areas that have this thing going on. And when you think about Georgia, you think about the Allman Brothers. You think about people like that. And that's your focus of it, but not realizing that the B-52s are coming out of there, Georgia also,
right?
Which is like, that's the other end of the candle. I mean, it's really, the way it is. So it's like, but those little pockets, like you're saying, it's amazing how there's sound coming out of different areas. There's a scene going on. Patchogue, before it became built up, I found that there was a scene there. Then it became a little, overly commercialized. Which is good. That's why I play barbecue. I love barbecue. That's where barbecue came from. The word barbecue. So with Eric over there. But I mean, like, it's great for the community and the economy of the community. But I found that before that, there was a certain thing, an underlying smoldering going on, not really lighting fire yet, that Patchogue had. And people now are out there. I mean, obviously. Like the Jelly Band, the Electrics, Cassandra House. I find that,
right.
Miles of Dayton. These bands were all like there before it was even blown up. Like they all had, really, really great artists like that, you know what I mean? And, but yeah, I mean, I feel that you can seek out the originality or the original music. It just got to look for it. It's out there. It's really great stuff. People always say, no, there's nothing good out there anymore, blah, blah, blah. There's a ton of music that's unbelievable. I mean, there are people coming out of like New Orleans. There are people coming out of, everywhere. There's so much great stuff out there. And there's Osborne. There's, Ted Benoit. There's all these people that are just, great guitarists, great musicians, great everything. You know what I mean? But you just got to look for it. You got to find it. There's one band called Hooray for the Riff Raff. They're called. Okay.
Okay.
You've heard of them. I caught them a bunch of years ago on YouTube. I was into something else, and this came up in the feed.
Okay.
So I went on it, and there was this girl in this kind of peasant dress, kind of like just woke up in in Tennessee, rural Tennessee, with a fiddle guy and a drummer and her on acoustic guitar. They're in the backyard, mic'd up, and it was just incredible. I mean, why isn't this big? Then all of a sudden, I see her on David Letterman, but she's like, she's Mariah carried out. Like all of a sudden, they caught her and they made something different. And I never heard, they're still out there. But when I saw that one though, it was just, and she had this old guitar. I'm into old kind of American acoustics. And,
nice.
It's like she had like something like this. That was like $25 brand new back in the 67. And it's really, really great. And it's out there. And you see it, you're like, wow. This is just amazing, you know what I mean? So, but you got to seek it out, You just got to look for it.
Yeah, you have to be open-minded and open to new things, or you get stale. The Rolling Stone gathers no moss, right?
Yes.
So let's summarize what you've got coming up. You've got Looney Tunes coming up on June 19th. I think so. You've got the new album coming out on the 20th on Paradiddle Records. Great guy, Bill Herman. You're doing the Great South Bay Music Festival
on the 26th.
And I'm going to talk about some other stuff you got coming up. You've got the Port Jeff Bowl on May 6th.
Yes, that's next weekend. Let me tell you something. I stopped playing a lot of places. I stopped playing a lot of local places. I love barbecue. I play there on Mardi Gras every year on Fat Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
We do that show. It's just a really, really great time. So I've been doing that. I teach to keep myself going, actually. I've been teaching a lot, which is really, really great. 3 days a week, which is fun. I had a
Nice.
big class of people. And but that gives me the opportunity to like hold back and do things I want to do. But the one place I love is that playing at the bowling alley. It's just a really cool thing. Where are you playing? Playing at a bowling alley. I mean, it just has a
Come
really
on.
cool. It's great. It's fun. And the guy loves music there. He really does. And he's got a lot of eclectic mix of stuff. And us,
Where is it?
yeah, our genre is blues. It's not like you can call us. He has like like some of the tribute bands there. So, but he believes in us and what we do, and we get a good crowd there too. It's a lot of fun. Yeah,
That's great. I tell you, if you get down to that, the bowling alleys, the house concerts, the off the beaten track places, it's almost like Nashville where they play in the shoe or the hat store.
right.
Pretty cool.
Well, there was a rock and ball down in Louisiana in the Woolens. That Sonny Landreth plays that. The great slide player. He does a rock and ball a lot, and it's cool. But right out you're inside this one little bar area, and through the doors there's the whole big bowling alley, and people come in and out and hang out. People just come, but a lot of people just come for the music. So it's great. It's called the Lucky
Oh,
Strike.
that's nice. Hey, Kerry, I really want to thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You have the greatest stories. You have great music. I wish you all the success with this new album, and you're always welcome back here on the Long Island Sound.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Steve. And listen, I hope to see you at Looney Tunes. Hope to see
All
you
right,
at the,
brother.
Yeah, hope to see you over there.
All right, till next time, everybody, keep your spirits high, be generous with your joy, and let the music take you on a journey. Be well.